Chucky's a little bit busy, ma'am. Chucky, come with me, Chucky. Come on. Come with Chucky. Chucky, stop resisting. Stop resisting.
July 23rd, Tallahassee, Florida. Inside this Chuck E. Cheese restaurant, families are enjoying what they think is just another ordinary Tuesday night. Kids are running between arcade games, parents are sharing pizza, and the familiar sounds of childhood fun fill the air. But what none of these families know is that police officers are about to make one of the most bizarre arrests ever captured on Bodycam footage. They're here to arrest Chuck E. Cheese himself. Not the character, but the man inside the costume, for felony credit card fraud. And every second of what's about to unfold is being recorded on police body cameras. This is that footage.
Don't resist. Do not resist. Don't. Let your hands go. Let your hands go.
To understand how we got here, we need to go back several weeks. Tallahassee police had been investigating a series of credit card thefts, not the typical smash and grab variety, but sophisticated fraud involving multiple unauthorized transactions across the city. The investigation led them to a surprising location, this family entertainment center that markets itself as where a kid can be a kid. The suspect was 41-year-old Jermell Jarreau Jones, an employee who worked the mid-shift wearing the iconic mouse costume. According to police reports, Jones had allegedly been using stolen credit card information to make purchases both inside and outside his workplace. What makes this case particularly egregious is the violation of trust. Parents bring their children to Chuck E. Cheese believing it's a safe, controlled environment. Under Florida Statute 817.568, credit card fraud is classified as a third-degree felony when the amount is under $100. But when you're dealing with multiple cards and repeated unauthorized use, those charges stack up quickly. Each individual transaction can be prosecuted separately, meaning Jones was potentially facing years in prison. The investigation involved tracking digital footprints across multiple platforms, Apple Cash transactions, retail purchases, and restaurant charges. Modern fraud leaves an extensive paper trail, and detectives had built what they believed was a solid case against Jones. Detective work in credit card fraud cases has evolved dramatically in the digital age. Every swipe, every tap, every online purchase creates a timestamp that investigators can follow. In Jones's case, police had traced suspicious activity back to his work schedule, his location during transactions, and his access to customer payment information. Working at a family restaurant gave Jones access to something invaluable to potential fraudsters: legitimate credit card information from unsuspecting families. Parents hand over their cards dozens of times during a typical visit for games, food, prizes, party packages. Each interaction represents an opportunity for someone with malicious intent. The digital evidence was mounting. Police had connected Jones to multiple unauthorized Apple Cash transactions, purchases at local grocery stores, and charges at gas stations, all using payment information that didn't belong to him. The amounts might seem small individually, but collectively, they represented a significant financial crime. Behind every fraudulent transaction was a real victim. Families who trusted Chuck E. Cheese with their payment information, only to discover unauthorized charges on their statements weeks later. Identity theft doesn't just steal money, it steals peace of mind, forces victims to close accounts, dispute charges, and question where their personal information might be compromised. When the moment came to make the arrest, police faced an unprecedented challenge. How do you apprehend a suspect who's literally wearing a costume, surrounded by children, in the middle of a busy family restaurant? The optics alone were a nightmare, but the law doesn't pause for awkward circumstances. You can hear the uncertainty in their voices. These officers have probably arrested people in all kinds of situations, but never someone dressed as a beloved children's character. The legal obligation was clear. They had probable cause and a warrant. The execution, however, would require careful navigation. As they watched Jones entertaining children, the officers faced a moral dilemma that extended beyond legal procedure. These kids were about to witness their hero being handcuffed and arrested. For some, it might be their first real-world lesson that not everyone in a position of trust can actually be trusted. The decision was made. Despite the setting, Despite the audience, despite the surreal nature of arresting a cartoon character, the law would proceed. That hesitation you hear speaks volumes about the human side of law enforcement. These aren't faceless enforcers. They're people who understand the gravity of traumatizing children, but who also understand their duty to uphold the law regardless of circumstances. What you're about to see is completely unedited body cam footage. There's something deeply unsettling about watching childhood innocence collide with criminal reality, but this footage serves as an important reminder that fraud can hide behind any face, even one made of polyester and fur. The arrest happens quickly, but the oversized mouse head and bulky costume make everything awkward and difficult. You can hear the Velcro and fabric rustling as officers try to control the situation while Jones, still partially in character, struggles to understand what's happening. The reaction from families is immediate and visceral. Parents are trying to shield their children while simultaneously trying to understand what they're witnessing. Kids are pointing, some are crying, others are asking questions that parents aren't prepared to answer. That parent's question encapsulates the surreal nature of this arrest. In their child's mind, Chuck E. Cheese isn't just a costume. He's a real character, a friend, someone who represents fun and safety. Watching him being arrested shatters that illusion in the most jarring way possible. Even as officers explain the situation to confused onlookers, there's an element of absurdity that can't be escaped. They're arresting a mouse, a giant mouse, for credit card fraud. The cognitive dissonance is overwhelming for everyone involved. When the costume head finally comes off, the transformation is jarring. One moment, children are looking at their beloved mouse friend. The next, they're staring at a 41-year-old man in handcuffs, accused of stealing from the very families he was supposed to be entertaining. Jones's confusion seems genuine, but investigators had been building their case for weeks. His protests of innocence would be measured against bank records, surveillance footage, and digital transaction logs that told a different story. The search procedure, normally routine, becomes almost comical when conducted on someone wearing oversized foam hands and costume pieces. But beneath the absurdity lies a serious criminal investigation involving multiple victims and potentially thousands of dollars in fraudulent charges. His denials would soon be tested against hard evidence. Modern credit card fraud investigations rely heavily on digital forensics, tracking IP addresses, geolocation data, purchase patterns, and timestamps that create an almost impossible web for criminals to escape. The Miranda warning, read over the surreal backdrop of a partially disassembled mascot suit draped over a patrol car, serves as a reminder that no matter how bizarre the circumstances, constitutional protections still apply. Jones had the right to remain silent, the right to an attorney, and the right to due process. Under Florida law, credit card fraud carries severe penalties. What might seem like small transactions to casual observers can result in years of imprisonment when prosecuted to the full extent of the law. If federal charges were added, which can happen when fraud crosses state lines or involves organized criminal activity, the penalties become even more severe. The legal system doesn't just punish financial crimes for the monetary loss. Credit card fraud creates lasting psychological damage for victims who must constantly monitor their accounts, change their banking information, and live with the knowledge that their personal data has been compromised by someone they trusted. Within hours, this body cam footage was circulating across social media platforms. The image of Chuck E. Cheese in handcuffs became an instant meme, but the humor masked a more serious conversation about trust, security, and the vulnerability of families in spaces they consider safe. The aftermath of cases like this typically leads to improved security protocols, better employee screening, and enhanced digital monitoring systems. But the fundamental vulnerability remains. Any business that handles customer payment information is only as secure as its least trustworthy employee. For Jermell Jones, what started as potentially easy money ended with felony charges, job loss, and viral infamy. For the families present that night, it was an unwelcome lesson about the reality that crime can hide behind any mask, even one designed to bring joy to children. The mouse head came off, but the consequences were just beginning. Subscribe and follow Red Tape Red Flag on all platforms. And don't forget to like, share, and comment.